Hello friends, this is Sanyukta and today we will be learning another pattern which is another Zentangle original called WellWellWho. Again an extension of the original pattern well. Right, so let us learn how to draw this pattern. We'll start just the way we start the pattern well. Right, we'll draw 4 lines emanating from the orb. I've drawn it clockwise, right, just the way we draw well the grid, and then 4 smaller lines in between these lines like this, right, and then I am going to draw an orb in each of these sections like this, right, and then I am going to connect each of these orbs with these lines. For the longer one, I am going above the orb. For the shorter one, I am going from under the orb. For the longer one, going over the orb like this. And for the shorter one, going from under the orb. Right? The way you understand, basically, I am moving from under the orb when I am connecting the shorter orbs with the middle line, and going over the orb when I am connecting the longer line with the orbs like this, right. The next step is to connect this orb with the center line for the longer lines like this, right, connecting this orb with the center line for the longer lines, right. And then I am going to draw another line connecting these orbs with the center orb like this. Which orbs? The orbs beside the longer line, right? So as you draw it once or twice, you won't find it confusing. Maybe you are finding it a little confusing right now. So all this work that I am doing is all related to the longer line, right? There is nothing related with the shorter line. Longer line, again the 2 orbs connected with the center line, and one more line connecting the orbs to the center circle. So this is the pattern, the outline of the pattern WellWellWho, right? Now it is up to you what we want to do. Again, open to tangulations. Now what I am doing is a part of the original pattern. However, these spaces are always open to tangulations, right? Originally in the pattern WellWellWho, this is how Maria has drawn, right? Becomes a leaf-like shape, and then 2 eyes peeping through in all these sections, right? 2 eyes peeping through in all these sections like this, right. So I'll just complete one section and show you, and then again lines, auras in these sections also, right, like this, and small fescues peeping through, right. So that's the original pattern WellWellWho. You generally shade on these lines, right, on one side or both sides or in the center, right, in the center around this bigger orb, and on one side, depending on what pattern have you filled up, right, since I told you that it is open to variations. So you can shade on one side, leave the other side as it is, shade on one side, shade around the orb, right. So that's how we draw the pattern WellWellWho. Let's draw a tile today and again learn how to draw the pattern, right. So I have a regular square tile in front of me. The 4 dots in place, joining the dots with these borders, right, and then starting the pattern right away. So a circle or an orb in the center, and then 4 lines emanating therefrom. Just like we start the pattern well, right? Then 4 more lines in between these lines, the second step, right? And then the third step, you can make these lines a little longer. The third step is to add these smaller orbs in all these sections that have been created. Right? The fourth step is to connect these orbs with the center line over in case of the longer line, and from under in case of the shorter line. We go over the orb in case of the longer line, and we go under the orb in case of the shorter line. Right? So we connect these orbs with the lines. I remember it this way. You can find a different way to remember, right? This is no standard way. And then connecting these orbs to the center line in case of the longer lines, like this, right? And then connecting these orbs with the orb in the center, again in the case of longer lines, like this, right? Right? And the final step being the eyes. Right? Right? So you can re-emphasize these orbs. Not a bad idea to do that. Retracing them after you have done all the line work, right? And then what we are going to do is deviate a little from the original. Instead of straight lines, adding these Mocha shapes, right? You can always draw straight auras or any other pattern that you feel like. There are so many patterns now, you know. So what I am doing is adding these Mocha shapes. Right? So going to do this exercise for all these. Like this. Right? Again the other side. Take your time, right? The third side, again the same, filling it up with Mocha, right? Right, and the last one. right? And then what I am going to do is draw the normal aura lines as in the original pattern under the eyes, like this. Right? Right? So I'll do this for all these sections. So you can see here I have filled up all these sections with the aura lines, and now we have these empty sections, right? It is up to you how you want to go about filling it. I would like to add some finery like, right, lines to it, to the section, give a sort of finery like feel. Right? The space is small, so take your time. Right? So doing the same exercise in all these sections, adding a touch of finery. Right? Like this. Right? Again, the third part. By now we have drawn finery so many times, right? So very delicate looking pattern. And the last one. Right? So the last one. Right? So this is how the pattern looks. Now I am going to give it an outline or aura it closely like this. Right? I'm just adding an outer aura. Like this. Right? Now it is up to you how do you want to go about filling the rest of the spaces. I think I will add further auras and fill up the whole space with aura lines like this. Right? And then again repeating the same. Right? Again repeating the same. So playing with aura here, we'll add few more auras, right? So you can see here I have extended those aura lines and covered the entire tile, right? Now I'm going to be starting to add orbs to the alternate aura lines like this, right? Simple orbs. Like this. Right, just adding orbs inside the auras. Pretty simple, right? So instead of adding some other tangles, I'm just playing with auras. Well, as a pattern opens up a whole lot of options once you learn how to draw the basic pattern and what is the grid that you use, right? Just going on adding orbs inside the aura, like this. So now I'm going to leave one row and then again start the same exercise, right? Do the same exercise again. So you can see here I have added those orbs in alternate pair of lines throughout, right? And there's one more small exercise that I have done is the little spaces that were left in between those orbs, I have inked it, right? So let us now start shading our tile right away. So I am adding some graphite, the edges and in the center line, right? Again one side. Center line and the edges. There are small little spaces left between the Mocha also. If you wish, you can ink that also, right? So let us now start blending. I'm just going to blend, add some chalk on one side of the finery like this, right? And the fourth one, like this, and then blend with a very light hand. Don't wish to convert the entire portion grey, just a touch. Right. right? So for the rest of the portions you can add some graphite at the places where the lines are turning. Right, again where the lines are turning. Right, I've just gathered some graphite on the turns, right, and then some at the edges. Some graphite here. Right, and then a touch of highlight. Right, like this, right, right, where we have not added graphite, a highlight. In betweens where we have not added graphite, it will highlight. In betweens, right, just brush off the excess chalk. Right. One thing more, what you can do is just to separate your center WellWellWho from the rest of the tile, you can add a darker shading or aura, just to separate it from the rest of the tile, right? So I am adding a thick graphite outside the first aura that I drew, for my WellWellWho, right? Like this, like this. You can see I have really used the pencil pretty hard, right? And then just blend it in like this. Right? So that's the pattern WellWellWho. Right? So this is how our tile looks. Take a moment to appreciate your tile. I'm now going to initial my tile, right? Sign and date it. So this was our series on the pattern well. Now we'll be starting another new Zentangle original pattern from the next session. Till then, goodbye, stay safe, bye-bye.